We have a new year. Wow, it seems like 2020 is not done with us yet. But like many of you, I'm trying to stay positive and keep my minds and my hands active. So in my very first video for my brand new channel, let's talk about some of the upcoming sewing and creative things that we're going to be doing this year. I have plans, many plans, and I'm so excited about this. So many plans. So over the next few months, I'm going to be sharing my progress with you, dear readers. What do we call this new tribe anyway? It's a new channel, it's a new tribe. So we're Rose Cottage Notions. And so does it mean your readers, your watchers, your cottagers, your strigas who read and watch in the cottage? I don't know. You let me know in the comments. So first up, we're going to be planning my wardrobe. This is something that I've needed to do for a long time. So I'm going to be tearing down my old one and making a new one. I'll be sharing this journey with you in a series of videos. We're going to look at what styles of clothing we wear and how we wear them so that we can make an amazing wardrobe that fits all of our personalities. I've been wanting to do a complete overhaul of my wardrobe for some time. Being plus size means it's really hard to find well-fitted, quality clothing, so I am going to make at least the basics of a capsule-esque wardrobe. I've spent a lot of time thinking about clothes that make me feel good, clothes that flatter my nanny og style, shape, self. And I will save my rant on finding plus-size clothing that isn't butt ugly, poorly made, or way too expensive. It's time to take control. I love historical costuming. I love history bounding, cost bounding, and I'm trying to find some ways to pull that into my wardrobe. And I may be teleworking for some time, but that doesn't mean I can't have both comfort and style. Because let's face it, I'm weird, you're probably weird, and I wear that badge literally as a badge of pride. Because you know what? If they don't like me, they can suck it. So I'm going to start with my me-made wardrobe. What I want to really concentrate is building blocks of my basic wardrobe so that I have more coordination in my wardrobe, but still have less stuff. This means spending some time analyzing what I have and what I need. There may be a spreadsheet involved. There was a spreadsheet involved in my wedding vows, so more than likely there will be a spreadsheet involved because, you know, I'm me. I'm going to be planning on layers. I like wearing layers. I don't deal with the cold very well. Give me a 100-degree day, and we don't get many of those here in the Willamette Valley. We do get lots of cool, misty, and downright rainy days. I do love those misty mountain days, but I don't like cold. So layers it is. I'm going to be looking at making a lot of bling. I don't have a lot of accessories that are chosen specifically for my outfits. I have a lot of jewelry and scarves and hats and, you know, all kinds of things, but they don't necessarily all go together. I'm going to be exploring ways to add bling to my wardrobe, to add variety that all works together. Because I want to limit the number of pieces in my wardrobe. So that means bring on the bling. So this means detachable collars, cuffs, scarves, who knows what else. We're going to be plumbing all of history to see what we can find to add to my wardrobe. Next up, I'm going to be making outfits. That's when I'm going to really get to start sewing. I'm going to be mostly shopping from my fabric stash, which is chock-a-block full of wools and linens. If I need fancier, you know, shinier fabric, I will have to go shopping for that. I may need to sally forth to find some knits or more modern fabrics, as most of my stash is from making early medieval clothing in the Society for Creative Anachronism. Next up, my next series of projects is going to be some sewing projects for the garden and for gardening. If I'm not sewing and it's not pouring down rain, sometimes even then I'm likely to be found out in my garden unless it's really cold, because remember, I don't like cold. I need well-fitted gardening pants. I have been on this search forever, and they just don't make gardening pants in my size. So we're going to have to make them, and you can come along on that journey if you're willing to. I'm hoping to also make a pair of warm pants for cool weather gardening, something full flannel lined, because I'd really like to be able to extend my season here in Oregon. We get a lot of cold, rainy days, and that's no excuse for not gardening around here. So I need to find a way to stay warm. So I'm going to start with a pair of gardening pants. I have some seriously garishly bright cotton canvas from some earlier projects. I got some purples and pinks and greens and browns and just a lot of fun. I'm going to have some fun with color blocking and maybe some tie-dyeing, maybe some tie bleaching, some appliques. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet, but come along and we'll figure it out together. Next thing I want to do is make some gardening aprons. I have several different types in mind. The first one will probably be a tool hauler, you know, those kinds you can hang your trowel on, your hammer on, your knives on, tack in some seed packets, and you know, if you got some squirrels running around, you might throw one of those in there. You know, you never know what you're going to find in gardening pockets these days. Another one is probably going to be a slip-on with a crossover back. It'll have large pockets to keep harvested veg in, or maybe small hedgehogs. We'll see. Really need some overalls. I've tried to take in larger men's overalls and it just hasn't been successful. I have a pair that I can wear, but I'd really like to get a pair that fits well. And we'll see what can happen. So I have some stretched denim that I think will work perfectly for this. This is going to involve some new techniques to me to get that rugged hayseed farm girl vibe that I'm going to go looking for. It's totally a thing. Straw hat, pitch, fork, the whole ensemble, you know. So I'm also thinking of doing a totally cottagecore gardening dress with pockets and tool loops. Likely to be more of a fun fantasy piece that I will gardening because I want to. I will float about smelling flowers, talking to wee bumblebees, chase butterflies, you know, everyday stuff. So on this channel, we're going to talk about courage in sewing and doing scary things and not making excuses anymore. You know, sewing things that scare me. I've been sewing since I'm about 8 years old, and so I've been sewing a really, really long time. But even someone who has been sewing as long as I have been, gets sewing anxiety. There's a lot of things that I just get stuck on, and it's completely a mental block. I know I can do the thing, I just, you know, scared to start. So one of the things that we're going to be talking about a lot on this channel is courage and sewing. So one of the first things I'm going to do, because I'm going to need this for my gardening projects, is setting up my geeky sewing machine. Yeah, I bought this thing used a couple of years ago, and I've been too scared to set it up. So I'm just going to overy up, and I'm going to set up the geeky. The next thing is sewing pants. Eventually I will have to emerge from my COVID cave. It's just a fact of life, and I'm going to need pants. Am I wearing pants now? I don't know. Am I? I might be. Probably am. But we'll see. So pants. Pants are hard. People are scared of pants. And so I'm going to be making myself several different types of trousers. I've always wanted just a lovely wool with a flannel lining trouser to wear in the wintertime, because when I go back into that office, that sucker is a cold mofo. And I sit there in layers and layers and I still freeze. So I'm going to be making some warm pants. And another things I want to try to do is make a jacket. A long time ago, long, many moons, rocks were soft, all of that. I did some tailoring. I really love it. I love tailoring. And so I want to make myself some jackets. I just haven't been able to find jackets that fit me, fit my personality, fit my size. So we're going to be making jackets. Another thing that's I haven't done a lot of, because, you know, they kind of scare me, is sewing knits. You know, I can hand sew silk and wool and linen until the cows come home. But knits are a little bit of a different animal. I just got a serger a few years ago for the very first time, and so I've been learning how to use that sucker. And I spend a lot of time in knits, so I really need to learn how to sew knits so that I can just be more comfortable in the clothing that I really like to wear. Another thing is I'm going to be sewing some coats. I don't know about you, but all of those amazing coats at the inauguration just really inspired me. In fact, I ordered 2 vintage sewing patterns that same day, and then I started trolling the fabric online shops. So I think I have a project picked out. You know, here in Oregon, we don't have need for a lot of really heavy wool coats, so I found this lovely cotton wool herringbone, this black and navy, and then I found a lovely velvet that I might make the cuffs and the collar out of, and then put some pretty little Swarovski crystals or something like that on them. Check back, you know, we're going to be tackling scary things, and I just want to show you that, you know, even somebody that's been sewing as long as I have, we get scared about stuff, and it presents mental blocks to us too. So come along. Yeah. So another thing that we're going to be talking about this year is rectangular construction. Now, some of you might know what this is, but this might be new to some of you. The basics of this method is, you know, it's all rectangles and triangles. It's a very efficient use of fabric. It was used really extensively in the early medieval and earlier than that periods. I learned about this technique from sewing early medieval pieces in the SCA. So you basically use rectangles and triangles to make clothing. It's a very efficient use of fabric. There's great economical use of fabric with very little waste. Back in the day, creating textiles was a massively time-consuming and labor-intensive job. Women predominantly spent most of their time producing clothing for their families. You couldn't just run down to Joann's or get online and order from Mood Fabrics. You grew the fiber, you spun the fiber, you wove the fiber into textiles, and then you hand sewed everything. We've only been machine sewing for a little over 100 years. So before that, it was all hand sewn. And so fabric and textiles, you know, in many cultures were also very sacred. So, you know, we're kind of approaching clothing in that same way, in that, you know, we're trying to avoid fast fashion. We want to make clothing that's going to last for a very long time. And we want to honor the textile and the history of women who toiled over textiles in the past. So I'm looking at making a set of modern clothes, like a linen shirt, a linen vest, and maybe a dress, possibly some skirts out of this. But I'm also really need some new SCA clothes. So it's been, I haven't really made myself any new SCA clothes probably in 5 years. We just haven't been, you know, participating that much since we bought a house. It's funny how a house can suck up all your time and money. I've wanted to dive back into making some 5th and 6th century Merovingian and Kentish clothings, and so you'll probably see some of those projects here. So there's another project that I'm going to be working on this year. I really wanted to join the Foundation's Revealed costume competition this year, but I don't really have enough time to complete my entire vision. So I'm going to make these costumes for Halloween. I'm so hoping that the pandemic will be under control by then and we can go out and play, because I think Halloween and the holidays this year are just going to be totally lit because of, you know, how we had to celebrate in isolation this year. I'm a huge Terry Pratchett fan, and I find myself identifying with 2 main characters, and that would be Lady Sybil and Granny Weatherwax. Both are amazing women with huge hearts and steel-rimmed resolve. And so the BBC America recently defiled Pratchett's memory and characters with that abomination of the show called The Watch. And I won't go into all the ways that that show is wrong. So wrong. I'm afraid my hair is going to catch on fire. Let's just say I'm displeased with their treatment of Lady Sybil. Yeah, I may need to have a video rant just on that because I have a lot to say. I'll be doing a Lady Sybil costume. Since I have a husband, I'm going to make a Sam costume for him. So we're going to be doing a duo with Sybil and Sam. Sybil, you know, she's described in Guards, 30 yards of pink tulle and a leather apron. So I haven't really decided on any particular period of history to draw from yet. It'll mostly be something like a late Victorian remake of a gown from a Rococo fancy dress ball of someone who was doing a dress from Queen Elizabeth's court. So that should be fun. And so Sam Vimes, you know, he's going to have the walking the beat outfit so the hubby can be comfy. It's going to be a brown linen shirt and breeches, breastplate, and a helmet. So, you know, although he's perfectly happy playing dress up, and he would totally wear the tights if I told him to, I think that that is much more in keeping with something that Luke would be comfortable in. So this last Christmas, I was really sad because, you know, without being able to be with my family. So this next year, I plan on pulling out all the stops. This holiday season is going to be so lit. My family has already been warned that we're going to have all the merry, and we are going to be merry. And we will have the house so decorated and tarted up. We're going to be farting candy canes until Epiphany. I'm planning on making myself a Mr. and Mrs. Claus outfit so cheery you're going to be hearing jingle bells for days. There will be red velvet, soutache braid, fur, woozles, and bling. I'm totally in love with those shows with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, and I hope they do one per year for the next 20 years. I mean, hell, I hope they can get 20 years of shows in. They can get them in the can right now so that even if we do lose those beautiful people, you know, we can still get our fix of the Christmas Chronicles. So Netflix, give me a call. So that's it. It's a hugely ambitious set of projects, and we'll see what I get done. I may get a wild hair and I'll add projects to this. You know, I only have a few hours in the evening to work on this, so we'll see what we can get done this year. I don't know if I'm going to get everything finished, but, you know, stay tuned and check back to see how I'm doing. If you have anything fun and challenging that you have planned for this year, share in the comments below. What kind of projects are you working on? What kind of projects would you like to see this channel tackle? What kind of questions? What kind of questions? Questions? What kind of questions would you like me to tackle on this channel? So may you always find joy in planning and creating such wonderful things as your brilliant mind can conjure. Until next time, I hope you find joy.